In this series, we'll be looking at living with depression and anxiety disorders. There'll be mention of suicide, so listener discretion is advised. The aim of these podcasts is to remind you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope, and it's possible to make a full recovery and live a good life, wherever you are on your journey. Well, here we are with another of our recovery podcasts, and the lady who came up with this idea is Kimberly Myhill from Equal Lives. Kimberly, why did you want to do these podcasts?
I wanted to do them because I know when I was going through depression that I spent so long online trying to find quick answers to the questions that I had, and I couldn't really find what I was looking for. Having said that, I don't really know exactly what I was looking for, but it was all very clinical or very medical, hard language, rather than just people explaining what they were going through. And I think I was really looking for other people who'd been through it or lived through it. So I couldn't find that really. I think now that I'm more in that community, I find them everywhere. But I think at the time, when you're just sort of in a panic and using your phone or computer to find something, I didn't feel there was enough resource for just your everyday person.
So you said now there is more to find, but what kind of questions were you asking for, or are you asking?
I mean, at the time, I know that in a panic, I felt very unsafe, that I wouldn't be able to look after myself as when I was on my own, and I didn't know how to keep myself safe, and a lot of things point you straight to A&E, and it felt too drastic to go to A&E and say I don't think I can look after myself, because at one of the time I did do that, and they kind of just, they can't really do much for you. The resource isn't really there. I think it perhaps is better now, and I think I was just looking for somebody to explain how you can calm yourself down in these situations, rather than having to jump to a medical treatment for something that's just you. Do you know what I mean?
So when you said keep yourself safe, what did you mean by that?
I was thinking about suicide and self-harm. I have attempted suicide twice in my life, and it was around the second time when I was really looking for, because I recognised it, the signs, and I thought, I know that I don't trust myself to keep myself safe in that time, and I ended up going to A&E a couple of times to speak to their crisis team. But you get very frustrated because I almost felt like I wanted to be admitted, which they wouldn't do, and I felt what was to stop me doing it as soon as I'd left, or you're only safe while you're there with them. I needed to know how to do it by myself, was what I was looking for.
And how do you think a podcast and these kind of conversations can help that then? Because if you're that desperate that you want to kill yourself, you're in such a state, aren't you?
Yeah.
That one would think that the Samaritans or there are other people out there, but that's not enough, or not what you felt would help you.
I don't know. I think there's still a certain, even with the Samaritans, I know they have a text service, which is really good, I think, but you still have to be able to verbally or written down explain how you feel, and I think a lot of people can't do that when they're in the real state, and I think that's some of the reason as well when you do end up in A&E or a crisis service. I felt that I was downplaying how I felt, because I didn't really know how to explain it, or I didn't know what they would do. So I think just being able to hear or listen to somebody else explaining after the event is really useful, because at the time I don't think you can see past where you are there and then in that moment. So I think it's useful for someone to be able to go online, because it's a useful and awful tool at the same time. So I think a lot of you're absorbed by what you can see and read, but I think you can change the algorithms of what they show you and find stuff that's useful and other people who know where you're coming from.
So obviously this is the start of many podcasts, hopefully,
Yes.
about this. So if anybody has tuned in now, if tune's the right word, and they're feeling like you felt,
Yeah.
what would you be saying to them?
Well, I find it really useful to write it down before.
How you feel?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think that people will say you need to talk to somebody, and that is true, and I agree and would suggest that. But I think it's so difficult to know what to say or to accurately portray how you feel that I think it's useful to get your mind in order, to write it down, even if it's a list of symptoms, because I think once you've visualised it and it's out of your head a little more, you then might find yourself in a better position to sit and talk to somebody else, even if you take that piece of paper to a GP. Yes. Or you take that to your friend. If you can't physically say, you can show them, and I think that's more useful. Is
it though that you might not be in a state to write it down? I mean, if you're thinking of killing yourself, you must be in such a serious state. Like, can you be, I was going to say sensible, that's not the right word, but can you really think about writing something down?
I think sometimes, I think it's different for everybody, and I know that the first time, so as I said, I've attempted twice, and then the first time I called a friend and I was very distressed. They were quite a long way away at the time, so they couldn't necessarily help me immediately, but I think it was I was drunk, I was crying, I hadn't planned it, whereas the second time I had planned it, and in the days leading up to it I was tying up my affairs and tidying up, and I was very organised, and because it was all thought through, and I didn't feel panicked. I'd resigned that that's what I was going to do. So the second time around I'd say yes, I could sit and write that stuff down. I had a diary and I would use that. But yeah, the first time, you're right, but I did still call a friend. Yes. Because I didn't really want to do it.
It's a cry for help.
It was a cry for help,
yes.
So.
And did you find then, I mean, obviously you're here, thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it.
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? Yes. In fact, you do hear a lot of people say that, actually, but of course, please don't try this.
Yeah.
What is it then that stopped you? And are you feeling better now? I mean, how are you?
I think the first time was a reaction to a bad situation. So I'd been off for a while, tried to go back into work, and I was met with some unkind comments, I suppose, and reacted badly to them, and I clearly wasn't ready to go back to work, and I don't think it was a serious attempt. The second time around, I do feel that it was fully my intention. I didn't tell anybody, and that's what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I was in hospital, I woke up next to a lady who had cancer, and she was screaming in agony. She was in such terrible pain, and I felt really guilty because I thought, I've put myself here and I'm taking up just as much nurse attention as you need, and you're in. And you're in.
I'm just going to cough and sneeze. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, but they were in a much worse situation than me, and I thought that she probably would have loved to have swapped lives with me at that moment, and I felt about somebody else thinking that my life was better at that point, and I think that really did help. And I know that you don't expect to wake up, and so you don't plan the day after, or so I wasn't really expecting the rest of the week to happen, so it was very slow after that. But I did get a lot more medical attention from having done that, so it shouldn't get that far.
No.
But I did receive treatment and help that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Well, it's good that there was treatment for you, but to have got to that stage is pretty serious. So what can you say on this podcast that's going to help people so that it doesn't get to the stage where you want to kill yourself, really?
Yeah, I think I hid it for so many years. So even had that being my second attempt, after the first time I still didn't talk about it. Still didn't explain to my friends, my best friends, my family, people I worked with. I didn't tell them. I covered it up through a series of lies or, just playing a role of somebody I wasn't. I was very self-destructive, and I didn't tell anybody. I'd been to the doctors and I'd explained my symptoms and I'd been medicated for it, but I didn't change my life or anything that would really help. And medication can only help with the symptoms. It won't help with the cause. And I didn't. So I think it's just so important to be able to speak out loud. Even as soon as you say some things out loud, it changes the way you feel about them pretty instantly a lot of the time. And you can get your thoughts in order. I ended up having 2 years of counselling, which I think is amazing, and I would recommend that to anybody. And I think alongside medication, I think I wouldn't like to rule it out as an option, but I think it can't be used alone. I think if you have been to a GP and they have medicated you, you need to look at the external factors. And talking therapies of all different kinds. I know that I tried CBT personally. I didn't get on with that, but it's useful to some people where counselling is a lot more personal, and I think there's something for everybody.
But how easy or difficult was it for you to get counselling? Because this is part of the problem, is that I agree with you, having been through that myself, that medication and counselling helped me. It doesn't help everybody, but I found that the combination, but of course it's getting the counselling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how difficult has that been?
I was really lucky. So I found an organisation that was donation based, and they're called St Barnabas, and they're in Norwich. So they kind of take a donation based on your income and your circumstances, which is amazing. And then coincidentally, it happened to be the same organisation that my employers used to make referrals to. So it worked out
This is Equal Lives.
Yes, yeah. Worked out really well for me that my employers were supportive and that they were donation based, so I could afford it, because it's really hard to access. And I do tell a lot of people you should try it, but I know it is really difficult.
Just tell us very briefly what Equal Lives do.
Equal Lives is a user-led disability rights organisation. So we have a membership. So if you're a disabled person in Norfolk or Suffolk, we cover as well. Then we sort of listen to your issues and try to work with you to find solutions to them, working with the council or the NHS.
And this would include people with mental health issues, as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we are looking to sort of broaden that a bit more.
So hopefully you're in a better place, if I can call it that now. Is that because of medication and therapy that's helped you to get to this stage, or is it because, we talked about this in another podcast, of almost taking charge of it yourself, which is something that I think a lot of us have talked about, that you can go and see experts, you can take pills, you can do whatever, but ultimately you have to be in a position to almost change your life yourself.
You have to do the work yourself.
And have you been able to do that?
Yeah, it's been a long journey, but nowhere near as long as the depression was. So I would say that as soon as I made the decision that I was prepared to get better, then I was willing to accept help, because before then I'd written myself off as somebody who couldn't be helped. And once I could change that mindset, I was more open to, and I'm just looking at things, it's a combination. So working with my counsellor, and he doesn't do it for me, he's there to listen, but remind me that what I can do rather than what I think I can't do. And I came off the medication after I'd been on it for about 1.5 years, so the second time round. So
is that good or bad? I mean, how do you feel? Are you okay coming off it?
Yeah, it's a tough decision, because I felt that I relied on it. and that I'd only gotten to where I was by taking it. But actually, slowly and gradually, because there's times in the past where I thought, oh, these aren't working, I've just stopped taking them, and that has consequences. But this time I did it very gradually, and I trusted myself. I thought that I would know if it was affecting me coming off them, and I trusted that I would be the one to decide if I needed to go back on them, or how to do that. So
it's sort of taking control, as you say.
Yeah.
So if anybody is looking at this and feels like perhaps you did feel, I mean, we've said that, and I believe this, that you can come through depression.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been in a similar position to you, really wanting to kill myself, and so low that sometimes I find it hard to think that I've come where I am now, which is okay. I mean, I'm not deliriously happy. I don't think I ever will be, because I don't really believe in that.
No.
But I think it's a matter of surviving, and it is a matter of taking some sort of control if you're capable of doing it.
Yeah.
But anybody watching this who is a pretty desperate state, and we know what it's like, what would you say to them?
I would say that you're never a finished product, so you can always write off yesterday and start again. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You have to listen to what's right for you. And I think we all have a gut instinct. I think that's just, as humans, that's what we have. And I think once you can learn to hear that again, everything else will fall into place for you, because you know if a situation feels right or wrong. You walk in a room, you know how it feels. And I think you lose that with depression. I think everything becomes, but you will always go up and down, and life will throw you things. But it's about learning to respond to those situations through how they make you feel. And I think that if something makes you feel good, do more of it is essentially what I would say.
That's really good to see you looking so well,
Thank you.
Even if perhaps you don't feel like it all the time. But it's encouraging.
Thank you.
If you'd like to get in touch or need more information about mental health services in your area, then you can contact Equal Lives online or over the phone. If you're in crisis and need urgent help, then call NHS 111 or the Samaritans on 116 123.